Good morning, everyone. Our topic for today is about U.S. companies, global strength and weaknesses. I am your reporter for today, Edgar R. Montalia, BSBA 3 Marketing. As business continues the current trends towards globalization, how are companies in the United States faring? A business trying to compete in the global marketplace is like an athlete trying to compete in the Olympics. Nowhere is the competition tougher. Correspondingly, no country in the world gives its businesses such a solid foundation from which to work. It said no country in the world gives its business such solid foundation from which to work. We all know na ang lahat ng trabaho ngayon ay hirap dahil sa pandemic na nararanasan. Kaya walang stable na business sa panahon ngayon. Bago makipag-compete internationally, you must have the following ability bago pumasok isang marketplace. Number 1, an economy that is open to foreign investment and trade. International trade allows countries to expand their market and access goods and services that otherwise may not have been available domestically. 2, a government that minimizes control on businesses but does a good job of supervising financial institutions. 3, a judicial system that works well and helps reduce corruption. 4, greater transparency and availability of economic information. 5, high labor mobility. 6, ease of entry by new businesses. Next is global advantages of U.S. companies. In the global marketplace, the United States is the world leader in the following industries: aerospace, airlines, beverages, chemicals, computer services, electrical products, entertainment, general merchandise, motor vehicle, office equipment, paper products, pharmaceuticals, photographic, and scientific equipment, semiconductors, soap and cosmetics, and tobacco. Some of the reasons the United States is able to lead the world in these key industries include: we calling US a superpower country because of the political power. It called superpower country comes from the combination of economic power and military power. Bukod doon, dahil sa entertainment and art, kaya masasabi na yung US ay lamang sa maraming aspeto. Number 1 is the strong entrepreneurial spirit. The United States leads the world in new business startups. This is because the entrepreneurial spirit is an integral part of the American persona. They call a strong entrepreneurial spirit because they are a natural leader, they are resourceful, they don't hesitate to take action, and they are motivated in work. Number 2, presence of a small capitalization, stock market for small business, mid-size companies. The presence of small capitalization stock market allows small and mid-sized companies to start up and expand without having to use all of their own capital or to take out higher interest loans from banks, as in often the case in other countries. Next is rapidly advancing technologies. The United States leads the world in the development, transfer, diffusion, and use of technology. This helps ensure a continual stream of new products on the hand and improve productivity on the other. Di nakapagtaka na maunlad ang US dahil sa kanilang advanced technology. Maging sa entertainment, movies, ay makikita ang pagiging lamang nito sa teknolohiya. Next is the comparatively low taxes. Americans complain constantly about taxes, as they are entitled to do and exercising their rights as free citizens. But when compared with other industrialized nations, the United States has a low tax burden. Dahil sa low taxes ang US, nagkakaroon ng maunlad na bansa. Number 5 is low rate of unionization. Tension between labor and management can harm productivity, and it turn decrease a company's ability to compete in the global marketplace. The amount of tension that exists between labor and management can typically be demonstrated by the level of union activity. The more the tension, the more the union activity. Compared with the other industrialized nation, union activity in the United States is low. Dahil sa strong relationship ng worker and co-worker, nagkakaroon ng good communication and teamwork sa isang workplace. Dahil dito, nagkakaroon ng magandang flow sa trabaho. Ito ang isang magandang advantage ng US, kaya nagkakaroon sila ng maayos na pagpapatakbo sa isang business. 6 is world-class system of higher education, colleges, and universities. The United States also provides the world's best higher education system. The number of top-notch colleges and universities in the United States is so much greater than those in other countries that comparisons are irrelevant. Dahil sa magandang pagpapatakbo ng edukasyon sa US, mas nabibigyan o mas tumataas ang rate ng mga nakakapag-aral at nagkakaroon ng trabaho. Kaya nagiging maunlad ang bansa ng US. Next is global disadvantages of US companies. In spite of the many strengths companies in the United States can bring to the global marketplace, and in spite of this country world-leading position in several key industries, there are still some disadvantages with which companies have to deal. The primary global disadvantage of US companies are these. Number 1, expanding government regulation. Regulating business is a difficult balancing act. On the one hand, businesses cannot be allowed to simply pursue profits, disregarding the potential consequences to the environment and other national interests. On the other hand, too much regulation or unnecessary regulation can make it impossible to compete globally. Because of the regulation and law sa US, madalas ang mga business ay di nakakapag-compete globally dahil hirap sila sa mga regulations ng government. Number 2 is a growing underclass of have-nots. The growing divide between haves and have-nots in the United States might lead to the establishment and perpetuation of a permanent economic and social underclass. Number 3, a weak public school system K-12. One of the key factors in the establishment of a social and economic underclass is the failure of America's public school system K-12. The most fundamental problem with the public school system from the perspective of global competition is that most of the jobs in companies that needs to compete globally requires less than a college education. Parang sa kanila is sa US, ito yung nagiging problema nila, disadvantage nila yung kulang sila sa taon ng edukasyon. Gaya sa Pilipinas, pinatupad yung K-12, mas nagkakaroon ng time para mas madagdagan yung kaalaman. Kasi dahil sa US, ito yung problema nila na sinasabi nila na kulang pa yung kanilang dapat aralin o kaalaman sa eskwelahan. Next is a poorly skilled labor force and poor training opportunities. The most fundamental problem with the public school system from the perspective of global competition is that most of the jobs in the companies that need to compete globally require less than a college education. This job must be performed by high school graduates who, if they cannot read, write, speak, listen, think, and calculate better than their counterparts in other countries, will be outperformed. Poorly skilled workers are an outgrowth of the failure of the nation's public school system, in which of the overwhelming majority of Americans are educated. Madalas ang hinahanap sa isang trabaho is mga skilled worker. Di lang sapat na matalino ka, dapat may kakayahan ka din. Number 5 is an increasing protectionist sentiment to restrict imports. Americans wanted their farmers and their manufacturers to be protected from their counterparts in other countries. Protectionism hurts everyone and never really protects anyone. But other countries, principally Japan, Korea, and China, have entered U.S. market. The jobs of American workers have been threatened. 6 is growing public alienation with large institutions, public and private. The final factor that gives U.S. companies a disadvantage is the growing tendency of the public to see a big organization as the bad guy. Minsan iniisip ng mga tao na kapag big organization ay meron na tong illegal na ginagawa. Next is the quality management practiced in Asian countries. Some of the most intense competition comes from Asia, where companies have effectively adopted many of the quality management practices set forth in this book. The most intense competition for companies in the United States now comes from Japan, South Korea, and China. Most students of quality are familiar with the strides Japanese companies have made since the beginning to adopt quality management practices after World War II. But what is less known is that many other Asian companies are following Japan's lead as a way to compete effectively at the global level. These countries include Bangladesh, Brunei, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. Dahil sa pagiging maunlad ng Japan is hindi sa ginagaya naman is parang sinusundan nila yung yapak ng Japan dahil alam naman natin Japan is napakaunlad sa teknolohiya, agriculture, and industries. Kaya parang sinusundan nila yung yapak ng Japan as nasa maunlad na bansa. The globalization of the marketplace has transformed doing businesses into an enterprise similar to competing in the Olympics. In the global arena, only the best of the best survive and thrive the intensity of the competition, only increasing. What was considered outstanding performance yesterday won't even make the grade tomorrow. And even the smallest countries can produce world-class performers. Companies in the United States that used to compete only locally or regionally now find themselves battling daily against companies from not just Japan but also India, Brunei, Bangladesh, Thailand, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. What's more, companies from these countries have learned the value of effective adopting and applying the principles set from these books. That's all. Thank you for watching.